captive rings, it really isn't that difficult. You can do it with the captive ring tool. You can do it with a spindle gouge. There's so many different types of tools that you can actually use it. Ray Deo does his, he made his own little tools, and you can get really small. I made one as big as a 16th of an inch, a captive ring. And then I went to go sanding the shaft, which was a 32nd. It's like sandpaper caught and that rascal went flying. It's like, dang, I wasn't enough to tee off the Pope when that happens. Anyways, this is a little goblet out of holly. Pass it around, and that's basically what we're gonna be doing. Only instead of holly, I decided to use a little hard maple, and this is a 3x3 hard maple. I've already made the centers and what have you, and I'm just gonna go through the process that I go through to start doing one of these goblets. For something like this, I do not like using like a step center or whatever to hold it into place. I use the one way, and I'm a lazy individual, so I have my Vic Mark chuck, and I really don't like taking the Vic Mark chuck off, using this number 2, putting it in there, and then finish with that, get the knockout tool, take it out. It's just too many steps, so I just leave the chuck on there, and people say, well, you're going to ruin the mortise taper. No, it goes all the way up to the collar, and any tool you put it in, any mortise taper, it never goes back that far. So you crank it down, and believe it or not, it will turn beautifully. All right, we'll get started. I'll put it in between centers, and obviously we got to make this rascal round. The nice thing about the safety drive from one way is if you really get a catch, or it'll actually stop the lathe instead of continuing on, and your tool will go flying out of your hands. That's happened once or twice before, right, Bill? I'm sorry? No, this will stop turning. It's like a little cup center in this drive right here. If you have a step center, you've got a multitude of little teeth holding it, and it's not very forgiving. So this one is quite forgiving. It'll just spin on you. See, it's spinning right now. So it's just crank it up. No, there's no gauge on here. That's frequency right there. This is an older model. The newer ones have an RPM gauge. I rarely look at the RPMs. It's like whatever you're comfortable with. And this is maximum on low speed. So it's like I had it up on the higher speed earlier today, and I said, nah, I might get somebody a little scared up front. A little bit more here. Go. Now you got to do a tenon on there. There's a multitude of ways of doing it. Usually my bowl gouge is usually, my preferred tool of choice is my 5/8 bowl gouge. Ellsworth grind, swept back ring. I do about 95% of my turning with this bowl gouge right here. You can do a tenon on this end with bowl gouge. You can use a spindle gouge. You can use a skew. I like the Bedan. The Bedan, you go in, already got the circle cut off. Once you go into the desired depth, just turn it to approximately 45 degrees and you will see the wood coming off and it'll make a perfect tenon to accept it into chuck. Right now it's up to the line. I just spin it. You'll see the threads, the wood coming off right to the end, and that's the perfect tenon. A lot of people shut their lathes off. I think Philip Duffy in here still? He already left. He was one of the gentlemen whereby I never shut mine off with it shut off right here. Leave it on. All of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I'll shut it off. Next thing you turn that rascal on, you don't realize that the speed is going full tilt. Finger gets caught in there, whatever. He broke a tool rest. That happened to him. He stuck it in there and snapped that thing right off. But I always turn the dial indicator, the rheostat, turn it down to 0. I know exactly that thing is down there. This is a Vic Mark chuck, unlike the Nova chucks, which is lefty tighty, righty loosey. It's like back asswards. Okay, you would think that people from Australia, they drive on the wrong side of the road too, but it's like their chuck is righty tighty, lefty loosey. So I alternate between the two, and it's like, dang, sometimes it gets a little confusing.
I use all the wall drivers and pour in the work button, the opposite of Cobalt. Use Cobalt with all the It's constant, I know it. I don't have to think about it. And then I switch the other one always backwards until about halfway through the day, and then I just get it pretty while.
Basically, I'm trying to shape this thing now. A lot of people don't use the spindle gouge for this. It's like, oh, that's dangerous. Yeah, can be. Bowl gouge. Yeah. That's approximately the shape. I can change the shape just a little bit. This is a little help right here in the center. I mean, yes, you can hollow this out without drilling a hole in the center, but once you drill a hole in the center, it's something, a place to go to, and you can start or end up there. And it's size a lot less wood you got to take out of here.
That's the cup end you're turning? That's not the base end, right? That's the
That,
cup.
that's the cup end I'm turning, yes. Normally I do a Forstner bit or whatever on there. God damn thing. Nice hard maple. It's definitely hard. Oh, bless it. There. Can you hold that? Okay. Now the tedious part is hollowing that rascal out without it come flying off the lathe. I'm sorry? Yes. Well, it got it about right to here, so the bottom of my hole is right about there, so I can finish it off a little later. I've got a Powermatic, but I have the extension on mine, so I just move that rascal out of the way. Get my calipers in there. Nope. Questions so far? No? That's in there about like that, and I'm actually cutting at the very tip. So you have to be careful in something like this. If you get down below center, that'll get squirrely on you, almost guaranteed. And it's like, well, if you do a hollow form, then you end up with a funnel. It's right here. It's like, you can do the inside. I still got to do a little rounded, more rounded on the bottom. And everything hinges on how thin you want your sidewalls to be. And that's what you determine just before you start setting this rascal around is what it is. A lot of people are afraid of speed. When you're doing something like this, it's spindle turning. So yes, you can do it at a slower speed. I'm not denying that, but almost guaranteed you're going to have more tear out than you're going to do with that speed cranked up right there. Hello. Now this is where I cheat a little bit. I use the cone to help me. Yes, I've done this all the way down without using the cone. Is it? You can do it once for bragging rights, and after that, it's like, no. That's also a one-way product. It has a cone. You can turn it the opposite way, then it has a bullet cone, a regular solid cone.
That the cones are a little different angle. The one I have is a little bit spread out a little further. Okay, center.
Mhm. When I start getting down there, a lot of guys use a bowl gouge, spindle gouge. I think this removes the material a rip heck of a lot faster. Hello. Okay. Okay, I brought the 1/4 inch. This is for doing a 1/4 inch. You got a half, 3/8. There's several different things. Like I said, this is the most easiest tool to learn how to use right here. You basically sharpen this tool by going both ways on there, and then you present the tool straight in and tip it up so the cutting edge will work. And that's how you actually smooth it. You can actually, you get a ridge in it. Right, Bill? When you pull it out, it's like when you go in straight and you go around, come back around and come straight out. If you try and come out when you're about 3/4 of the way around, you'll leave a nice mark every time, almost guaranteed. All right, Bill? I'm sorry? I'm gonna be doing a captive ring here shortly. Okay, I usually do a little, approximately a 1/4 inch. Like I said, you present the tool straight in, do the cutting, wait till it bottoms out, and it just starts making the curve, and then you can start coming around. And going back out the other way, straight out, turn the tool over. And you always get a little build up. You can clean it with a tip right here, but why tempt Providence? All you have to do is catch it just a little bit and it'll take off on you. I would do it with a spindle gouge. You can get right in behind. Yep, I did it, didn't I, Bill? Came out of that thing before I came all the way around. Now I gotta clean that up. And I was just gonna say, before you break it loose, all the way loose, is a perfect time to sand that thing, because it's a humdinger to sand it afterwards. Like, it's like stuff happens. It's usually when I do this, I have a much smaller stem on these things, just like that one that I passed around. But for demonstration purposes, I mean, you can get quite elaborate as you like with doing the little goblet. You can put a ring on up here, a little shoulder. I mean, it just, you're only limited to your imagination. Somebody want to come up here and try doing the captive ring? You're more than welcome. Come right up here. Be a hands-on one. Said yeah. Come right up here if you want to do it. No? Yeah, usually I forgot to bring my blue tape with me. Usually I tape it like that. If not, that thing will just keep scooting back and forth, and it's like, enough to tee off the Pope, but what can you do? Forgot the tape. Yeah, go straight in until you can no longer go, and it no longer rounds the edges up here. Once you get to that point, you just lift up on this thing a little bit, and now you start getting a nice rounded edge. Tried? No? Any questions?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on sharpening that thing? You gotta be careful about sharpening the tool.
On this thing right here, captive ring tool, yes, you sharpen towards the center on both sides. Follow that same angle right here. I have a CBN a card file, and I just hold it up there and do that. It doesn't take long if you stay on top of it and do it periodically. And you can tell when it starts getting dull and everything. It'll start getting burn marks on your piece, and it's like, just take the card tool out and just sharpen it. The first set of these I got, I said, oh, no problem. I'll get this 1/4 inch little nice round thing. And no, you don't want to do that. It doesn't work. You just ruin a nice tool. But anyway, this one comes from Packard. I have oh yeah, I mean they're pretty much standard. I mean not much different that you can have with these things other than the size, 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2 inch. It's just learning the tool, and it's like all you have to do is remember, and I already got caught once, is like once you go in straight, you can see where it is. You see the hole right here, go in straight, start turning, and when you come back out again, you've got to come straight back out again and then flip it. That's imperative, or else you're going to get a real this one, you can see the difference in even the size of the rings right here. This one is a little bit skinnier, and that's because I didn't come out straight and I had to take care of one of those nice little grooves that it leaves. It's you can go from small to large. You can graduate them. I mean, like I said, you can go really small. When we were out to the Virginia State Fair, I did a bunch of these things for the kids and everything. Oh, they loved that captive ring. And invariably, usually it's a woman, because a man says, he probably said, go up and tell her to ask this question. Anyways, he said, how do you make these things? I said, well, I get buy these round rings, I soak them in water and they stretch, and I put them over it. And when they dry, they shrink back up again. I'm going, really? I'm going, no. Usually the husband puts her up to it though.
I actually used that captive ring tool to put the ring on the base of the, so it kind of hooks underneath.
Yep.
So you can use them for more than just making a captive.
Oh,
ring.
absolutely. Yeah, you can do a partial ring and then you clean it up with, a spindle roughing gouge or not a spindle, a detail gouge like this one right here. It's, you can do quite a few things right here. Usually when I won't even sand it or anything here, get it too messy. I'm sorry? Well, as far as rounding the cylinder from a square to a round, yes. You can do a certain bead with a skew chisel. I'm not proficient. Probably Steve is a heck of a, no. It's like,
I don't know how you on the ground in Marrakesh, that you might have all seen, and he had a bow leg, and he's using his hand this way to bow, so you can only cut on the full back, and he has a skew, and he's balancing the skew with his toe. That's a little chess man with a captive ring, using I don't know, a half-inch or quarter-inch skew, and then he pulls it off, and he uses the skew to knock off the end of it, puts it on the chest board, and then makes another piece.
Says, okay. Yeah. Okay. Usually, I may as well finish this rascal.
Robert,
Yes, sir.
so to get different size rings on there, by not bringing the extra wood down so small. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Get your cylinder the size you want the ring, and then you cut the ring, and then clean up what's left on there after the ring comes off.
Yes, exactly. You just have to be cognizant of the fact, let's say, when you're starting out with a 1/4 inch, obviously you can go much closer to the stem and cut it off. When you have a, 3/8, or you say, okay, I'm going to use the same measuring right here as I did with a 1/4 inch. Good luck, because you'll go right through and cut right into the stem unless you really shorten it up. And there's a lot of flexibility with this thing right here. I can make this considerably smaller than this 1/4 inch right here. I can make it probably down to 1/8 of an inch by just, when you get onto this thing right here and you're holding it, if you twist it just a little bit, you can clean the sides up. If you get a burn mark or a little burr on there, just turn it just a little bit. It sure beats sanding. It's quite tedious, but just hold it up there and be patient, just to do it a little bit at a time, because if you tweak that rascal too much, ding, it'll go flying up over your head. It's like, especially with the softer wood, this is hard maple. So, you can get pretty aggressive with this stuff. When you get into the lower, even the one that I passed around there, the holly, it's a little bit softer. Don't get me wrong, it turns beautifully, and you can get on there, a nice sharp tool, probably 320 grit, maybe 400 if you're really good, and it's like beautiful wood, but it's much softer than this right here. So, well, let me finish this rascal up here.
We haven't got much more time.
Okay. Here, here. Viola, that's voila in French.